Hi. Wait a minute. Are we live? I didn't see the live sign, but it looks like we should be live. So today is Wednesday, April 15th. Yay, we have 3 more months for tax day. It's not today. I appreciate the relief. I hope you do too. I thought I was going to start a few minutes early or a few seconds early just to try and avoid any trouble getting on. I hope you can see me a little better today. I was sitting in front of the window yesterday, totally washed out, and which is one reason I went off screen because it looks so hideous. I look like a ghost. I can't say today is much better because the glare coming in the windows hitting the fireplace mantle, but Elly will cover that up as soon as she gets here. So I've got the preparation area of the kitchen floor cleared off finally, and all those boxes emptied out, and now I have to tackle the eating area of the kitchen and the boxes piled up there. But I have to say I am very proud of how much I got rid of before I moved. I still have a lot to get rid of because this house is bigger than I need. Eventually, right now it's what I need to fit everything in, because I no longer have a basement and I no longer have all the storage space my last garage had. So this is half the size I used to have, and half the size without a base, half the living size, and of course no basement and less storage in the garage. So, but I'm able to get my car in the garage. Instead of being packed floor to ceiling with just a pathway through the house, I'm only packed up to not even shoulder level. So I am pleased. Now, that being said, one great piece of news I got from, I don't want to reveal my source on publicly here because I don't have permission to do that. If anybody needs to know my source, you know how to contact me, and I will tell you privately. But my source said that Trump is still very much with us, that we can put our concerns to rest, that he's being manipulated and so on. Many people, are saying, hey, we've lost, my move was over 1,000 miles. Many people say that, we've lost our Constitution and that FEMA's in control and he's basically just a puppet. Well, from the person that I heard from, who is directly connected to the White House, very close to Trump, said that is not true, and said that the models that the CDC and Gates and so on were using, he recognizes are false, and so he is going strictly by data. But the other question is, does he? I hope he does. I hope he realizes that the data that is being accumulated for how many deaths there are, I hope he realizes that's a tainted number, because many places are not talking about deaths by heart attack or any other means. They're just counting everything. If you've got the virus, or maybe even if you don't have the virus. I read this morning about somebody whose relative was counted as a COVID virus death, even though the person had never been tested for it. So we've got trouble. And yes, Gloria says the Surgeon General is throwing out Birx, Gates, and Fauci and using new and real data. Yeah, that's the message I got from my inside track to, one person that travels with him everywhere he goes. So I don't even know the person's name. I just know the person who told me, who is very, very close to the person that travels with Trump. So Elly's not here yet. I moved over 1,000 miles, Josephine, and it was over 17 hours drive, and I did it straight through, taking less than 5 minutes 3 times to stop and get gas, or maybe 5 minutes. I kind of lost track of time. It was, maybe three to 5 minutes 3 times. And I got to North Little Rock and I was like this. And I realized I am blinking way too long. I'm not just blinking my eyes, I'm passing out for a second or two. Not safe. And about the time I said, I have got to pull over, there was the exit to the med center that Larry hates going to. And I pulled into the parking lot and started praying. And 2.5 hours later, realized I woke up because I'd been asleep. So that was good. And I got up to Conway raring to go. So that was a week and a half ago. And Monday, I found a place to rent. Monday, my belongings arrived, and I worked till about 11 o'clock Central Time unpacking the kitchen yesterday. It took all day to do that, and then I've started on it again today. So, yes, Gloria, I did see after the message came to me through Messenger, I saw Breitbart was talking about it as well. So, we've got now multiple sources stating that Trump realizes what's going on. And I got to tell you, that is a huge relief to me, because there are people saying that FEMA's in control. Trump is nothing but a puppet now. And, I know he has to be exhausted. And somebody also wrote to me this morning and said that JFK, during the Bay of Pigs incident, was getting very, very little sleep. And he was really struggling badly with what's going on. I don't know where she is, Rindy. I'm waiting for Elly to come on. She's always late, and because she has to finish up her other program. I sent her the link to come in. She has not texted to say she doesn't have it, so she'll be here eventually. I did text her this morning and got a response from her. So there are sirens here apparently that go off every Wednesday, and I guess that's what it was testing the system, and wondered if it was on a regular basis, because I didn't hear them last Wednesday. So why would I drive straight through and it was dangerous? Karen, yes, that I agree with you, but with everything that was happening, they were saying in Maryland that Virginia and other states might be. I heard that there were border crossing issues between New York and other states, and that there were border crossing issues between Florida, Georgia, Alabama, maybe Mississippi. I'm sorry, Rindy, that the stream's out of sync. I see that with what I'm saying, and I don't know what to do about it except to start over. So we'll just carry on and just put it on sound and don't watch the video. I'm sorry about that. I know there were some issues. I had some internet issues trying to get started. I came on early to get things set up, trying to see if I could get a better lighting in the living room here, and everything crashed, and so I don't know what's going on. So I'm sorry about that. But I did notice we had a problem with that yesterday as well. But the reason, Karen, that I drove straight through was I was afraid that I would have border crossing issues. And a friend of mine had told me that he had what he called Nazi papers, because he worked at Home Depot, and he in the state of Washington had to have papers in case he got stopped, saying he had a job. And so I'm blurry as well. Now from here I see a perfect picture, so I don't know why it's blurry. I see that what I'm saying is out of sync with the movement on the computer. I don't know what to do. If anybody knows what to do, tell me. Do I need to go out and start over and start a whole new stream? I think if you hear, that's exactly right. I'm going to go back to my reading in. Sorry, as I reach back here for my Bible. Something I read this morning at the end of Mark 8. struck me as so apropos to what we're going through. So I'm just going to read through some of these passages here in Mark 8 and tell you what my reaction was to it. The disciples had forgotten to bring bread. That they had just fed 4,000 and were on the boat. They forgot to bring bread except for one loaf that they had with them in the boat. Be careful, Jesus warned them. Watch out for the yeast of the Pharisees and that of Herod. They discussed this with one another and said, it's because we have no bread. Aware of their discussion, Jesus asked them, why are you talking about having no bread? Do you still not see or understand? Are your hearts hardened? Do you have eyes but fail to see and ears but fail to hear? That's what caught my attention. You know, everybody in America, everybody in the world has eyes to see and ears to hear, but not everybody is paying attention. Not everyone's awake. Not everyone understands what Larry has taught us, that what's uppermost in the news is not the most important thing. What is the problem is what's going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. And the trick is to try and figure out what's really going on while we're being distracted elsewhere. So Jesus said, when I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000, how many baskets of pieces did you pick up? And they said 12. And when I broke the 7 loaves for the 4,000, how many baskets of pieces did you pick up? And they answered 7. He said, do you still not understand? So here's a passage of scripture talking about the fact that what you see on the surface is not the important thing. Here's Jesus talking about what's important, and he was giving them a message that they were not understanding. And to me, it's really important that we be paying attention, as Larry has told us, to be looking for what's really going on behind the scenes that we don't understand. And thank you, Donald. I appreciate that. And then the other, at the end of chapter 8, he called the crowd to him and he said, if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it. Whoever loses his life for me and for the gospel will save it. That just reminded me so much of Larry and what he has given up, his willingness to lose everything as he has for the sake of doing what's right, to Larry gave up everything. He was willing to lose everything to do what was right. And that's a biblical principle. And so as we are facing loss, great loss right now, I just wanted to encourage you with scripture that what God allows into our life, we have to remember he's in charge and he's in control. And hang on. Don't give up, and be willing to pay the price that's appropriate. You're getting an error message on the link. Okay, thanks for coming in, Elly. Let me send it to you again. I thought I had sent you the right link, but it could be that I typed it wrong. And right now I'm seeing something different. Oh, I see what happened. I couldn't read it properly. So I'm sending it again right now. I wondered what had happened. So just a sec, folks. It's probably going to take my eyes a few days to acclimate properly after being so exhausted. So Ellie's trying to get in, so there was an L and an I that I mixed up, and it looked like an L to me, but it apparently was an I, and so I see it on a different spot. So, a donut shop in Cuba. That is too funny. I'm so sorry. That's unbelievable. Um, Randy, I will say to everybody right now, don't forget what Larry said when people were a little too critical of what was going on, number one. Number two, there have been times when I have done this before. Larry has heard what I have said, and I have called him afterwards and said, am I too preachy? And he said, you're preachy, but that's who you are, so it's okay. So if you don't want to listen to the beginning of the show and want to wait until Elly comes on, you're not going to offend me at all. You're welcome to do that. And if you don't want to be here until Larry comes back, that's, up to you. I'm not forcing you to be here. And because I'm the one who agreed, Larry told me to shut the whole program down. He said, just be done with it. If I come back, fine, I come back. And I didn't want to do that. And Elly was willing to come on with me, and we're waiting for her to get here. And so this was my decision, and Larry told me that I could do whatever I wanted with this program. And so if you don't like it, you're not going to offend me by what you choose to do. And yes, this was a news channel, and Elly is bringing the news, and I am bringing something behind the news that is giving a new perspective, and that is something that I have been told to do. So that's what I'm doing. So Elly, if you're ready to go for it, take it away.
Oh, wow. I missed everything that happened, though.
I'll catch you up afterwards.
Okay. And if there's questions for you, just jump in there. I hope everybody got their checks today. Today was the deadline, I think. And, the ones being mailed got Trump's name on them. I was telling everybody this morning, I'd love to have gotten one of those. So, the other big thing that I really was shocked at was the 50-car pileup in Chicago this morning on the Kennedy Expressway. And, oh my goodness. And it was just a little wet. It just started to snow. And did you get to see, have you seen the Home Depot guy, the founder, Mary Ellen? Have you ever seen him?
Yeah.
Isn't he cute?
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So I don't go there. He's a married man. I'm not, or at least he was, and so I don't go there. I just don't.
No, I just meant he is. When he talks, you would. If you were to talk to him, you wouldn't even expect he's the founder. And he is telling Pelosi that her and her little Democrat friends need to calm down and open the country back up for small businesses before they basically tear it up, just crush the economy with it.
Well, I mentioned yesterday that a friend on Facebook posted an article about the small businesses in small towns that are being so most severely hurt by all of this. And her comment was, I wonder if this is intentional to shut down the small towns and push everybody into the cities where they can have more control.
You know what was, when you look into the letter that Nancy Pelosi wrote about Trump, or her statements she was making, and also she was even tweeting it, she was saying that, Trump is crushing the infrastructure. But if you kind of read on below it, she said, we will make sure that we won't open the country back up until every person with the virus is okay. Or we will go to January, February.
Who said that?
Nancy Pelosi.
Of course. of course.
So look at what she was trying to do. They did say, they were going to crash the economy and they were going to crash the stock market. And the thing about it is over all the different info this morning that came out, all I was seeing is Democrats switching parties out of all of this. Governors, and get this, De Blasio even said that now the way he's moving with his city, he is really a Republican conservative. And for Blasio, that is weird. Um, and all the governors are saying the same thing. Newsom, and I'm thinking maybe Newsom and Pelosi had a fallout because not only did he praise Trump, um, but now he's working with 12 or more governors, and they're banding together to try to open up the different cities. And what gets me is it's all under Republican conservative plan, and they're agreeing to it. They like it, and they said, you know what, maybe we might have to switch. And now Newsom didn't say it, but some of the other governors did. So it looks like we might have a governor switch parties, or maybe more. Um, so I mean that it's just, it keeps going. And even now we've got the Black Americans saying that they did not appreciate this virus being called a black disease by the media. And so according to Candace Owens, she is getting massive amount of calls from Democrats saying they're fed up. They're sick of what they're doing and they're switching parties. And then Trump approval rating is just through the roof today. But everybody got the checks. Everybody's hearing that we're going to be opening up probably on the 1st. And of course, the Democrats, they meet briefly tomorrow, and after that, it's vacation time for them till the 4th. So I think they're regrouping, and according to what's coming out of the Republican Party, is they're trying to sign in bailouts on this one. I think they gave up on changing voting. I bet it's still in there. But for the massive amount of what they're trying to push in is bailouts for different entities. Once again, like the PBS. The only one I really agree with, Mary Ellen, but I think can wait, and I mean, even Larry would agree with this one, is the post office, or the United States Post Office. And I really do believe that they deserve, some money, but not on this bill. It needs to go to the budget that is due in October, end of October.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there was major protests in Michigan. Did you see that? They're protesting. They want loose. They want the country open. And then, so I call up there. I got a friend up there, Angela, and I say, "Hey, what's going on up there?" And she goes, "Well, you know what? It's none of us protesting. They came in on buses from out of state." So I don't know what that is. I don't know if those are Soros people or what, but they're protesting to open the state back up.
That's interesting. With is it Whitmer, her name, the governor. With her saying you're not allowed to buy vegetable seeds, it just. I read another follow up article to her doing that, and they want, with this new Green Deal issue, they want everything in the country, everything in the world has equal value, even the stones, the trees, the rocks, the food. And we're not allowed to have natural food anymore. They have to create artificial food for us to eat. Of course, they'll have the good stuff, but it's it's just outside of reality. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's what you, we heard Obama endorsing Biden. Okay, now that's just a crack up. I sat and thought about it. When usually there's like two or three of them, and then they endorse them. Well, it's like, okay, there's nobody else that's going against Biden. Let's endorse him. What's that, Mary Ellen?
That's a desperate attempt by Obama, knowing that there were people that still supposedly love him, to try and hang on to power.
Well, he's had like what, like months to endorse him, and he's like, well, I guess that's all that's left.
Well, I mean, do we think that this is going to be a real convention for the Democrats, or is it going to be a brokered one to bring Cuomo in, for crying out loud, with his daily press briefing, trying to, and of course it's a national briefing, not just a local briefing. So, yeah.
Yeah, MW. If you've seen that video, that slideshow I did, the GMOs brought by Bear, and then Bear was brought about by the Nazis. Um, it was in my little slideshow, and that I posted, and that's the one that surprised me. Um, but I did. I called Mary Ellen. I called all the investors back this morning. This time. I called banks and talked to some office branch managers, and it was Edward Jones, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, and Citibank. And I said, so if Trump, all this money's starting to go through, and we're seeing maybe the country opening up partially at the end of the month. I said, so what do you expect? And every single one of them were giddy and was excited. They said it looks like we're going to have a huge comeback. And
Well, when I tried going to the bank here, I went to a regional bank here to open an account, because that was the deal I'd made with my landlord. And I was going to open an account at his bank and, just transfer the money directly each month. And I wasn't allowed to open an account. And I went to Bank of America and walked right in. The regional bank had the door locked. You couldn't go into the lobby. My bank was open. And I don't even think they had X's on the floor. And, I met somebody who, probably the branch manager. He had gloves on, and he went to, shake my hand, and then, withdrew his hand again and went, oops, I guess we're not supposed to do that. And I just had one glove on my left hand, so I fist bumped it. I grabbed his hand and shook it anyway. Little, left hand to right hand, kind of weird. But, it just, there are a few people running around in masks and a few people running around in gloves. And most people are not, and I don't see any reason to keep doing that. I'm just done with it.
well, we really didn't have a lockdown here, and for the most part, the few times I have been out, I really haven't seen anybody in anything. So anyway, I called them, and they got really giddy, and they're expecting the market, when it does go Zoom. They're expecting it to leap by the thousands. Every one of them told me this. And they are expecting it to be slow and take about 60 to 90 days, they said, for it to kickstart, because it depends on if we all go out in the first and we're all doing good that first month, and that curve goes down. Um, then he says it's gonna leap, and that'll save the quarter for the summer. But if it goes into August, they were saying that then we will see kind of the bad numbers for one quarter. But they're really expecting just dramatic changes.
Well, I
From
just wonder what's going to happen here, whether we're going to have a repeat in early fall, because Larry told us that he had been told, the inside information was that they were going to completely crash the market 2 months before the election, which meant the end of August, beginning of September.
Mhm.
And now they've done it so badly right now. Was this just a way to keep Trump's momentum from continuing to go? Are they planning to crash it again? That's the piece I don't understand at this point.
I think this is the crash that they were talking about because there's nothing coming up except for them trying to extend it to January, like Pelosi said. They really expected this virus to last way longer because they were going to go on those model numbers and then inflated patient numbers. And, thank goodness, the American public went out and they started looking at these hospitals and found out there weren't all them sick people. There weren't all them people in these hospitals. And they got caught. And then they started noticing the numbers were inflated. And then I believe the beginning of the week or last week, I was telling everybody that Trump even said at his briefing, they were sending his own people out to get head counts. And that's when all of a sudden, Cuomo didn't need beds, everything was fine, the numbers were way down, and they got caught. And then Fauci got caught too in the
Well,
midst of it.
weren't you the one who talked about ordering excess or demanding from the government excess or something so that the leaders can pocket the extra money?
Mm-hmm. And they did get all that. They did. We sent them everything. Kumo, we sent it all. Because he demanded 56,000. Funding for beds or the beds.
Well,
And
look at what Dreaming is saying. Now we have a surplus, and he's stockpiled it. He said we gave them a ship; they didn't need it. He did,
mm-hmm. Yep.
and Dreaming is saying, if you listen carefully, he's saying they tried to set him up, but it backfired.
Oh
So
yeah, you are right. That virus is deadly. I mean, it's affecting a lot of people. The problem was the inflated numbers. And if they would have just went about this a little differently with the actual numbers, we could have got the help quicker. But when you're making a massive amount for a massive order, it's going to slow it down. And we did send little bits at a time. But he was wanting that massive amount, the massive beds. It went from 56 to 36, and then I think it went from 36 to 15,000 actual.
well, and I got a text message this morning from a friend who's got a direct connection to Trump, and somebody who travels with him all the time. And so the comment she sent me was that Trump was going by actual numbers now, not the models that
Mhm.
he's been given. And so things are going to be very different now that he's got real numbers.
Um, Sherry's right. We have to expect that when we all are turned loose, there is going to be another surge because there's going to be those few that are infected that are going to get out there, and it's going to happen. What we should be doing is when that does, we need to get them quarantined immediately. And I know this, this coronavirus is like SARS. It's like the swine flu. It's going to kill people, and can you imagine now that we found out that China is the one that created this in their labs out of Wuhan, and then it just keeps pecking at me of that lady scientist that went into the caves and said there's four more that are worse. Now China has got four more that are worse, and I believe it originally started, because they had the protest over there in Singapore, and they could not get these protesters to go. And
Is
then
Singapore, or you mean Hong Kong?
Hong Kong, yeah, I'm sorry, Hong Kong. And when that virus came out, it ended it. It ended it quick. And now they have got this virus, and they believe in population control. And I believe that's what they're using over there. China's cruel.
Well,
China's
when
cruel.
you realize 21 million cell phones are no longer functioning, they've been turned off. There's that big discrepancy. That number is very telling.
Yeah, and the I refuse to vote paper ballot. Tom Fenton is screaming about it. All of the Super Tuesdays, they have found 1 million paper ballots that are false.
Well, North
So
Carolina's been voting dead people for a long time. You've seen the meme.
yeah,
I
well, this
voted
was all the
Republican.
mailing.
I
This
voted
was mailing.
Republican, but hang on, I voted Republican, but now that I'm dead, I'm voting Democrat.
Yeah, it was through the mail, and they're saying don't do this, don't vote by the mail, and then because it came out so quick, they had a huge victory in Pennsylvania on one trying to get their governor out, I believe, and it came up with almost 90%. The polls are flipping back and forth. It goes from 80 to 90. And this is both parties to get rid of this governor that is trying to put in mail order, but also done some other stuff. So, that was my proof that once again, we have Democrats voting with Republicans now. Or they're waking up. They're waking up. Finally, finally. So, goodness. Now, the thing I did find, with someone said we're cutting off World Health Organization. And yesterday, when I was talking about China being caught with making the virus and kind of being responsible for it, there was a guy named, I guess I'm going to have to dig out my notes. You see.
The head of the World Health Organization is Ethiopian, and China has been sending billions of dollars into Ethiopia, and so his protecting China through the World Health leader protecting China through all of this is his way to pay back for all the billions in money coming into Ethiopia.
Yeah. See, the voting is going to be really touchy because we have those voting machines of Soros. So we have to watch out for that and see that can even be rigged. And then, the paper ballots, those can even be messed with. And then now we're looking at even corruption in the mail in. And, I'm just hoping between now and then, Tom Fenton can get back around and keep on these people. Because he said he's even getting calls from the state election boards of the states, quite a few, for him to come back and recheck them. And because they were having more voters than actual voted.
Typical Democrat ploy. They've been doing it since the Clintons were here in Arkansas.
Yeah. So when they were looking into the World Health Organization, there was a guy that was over there, like with the rest of them, snooping around. His name is Andrew Kerr. And
snooping around where?
Over in China on the World Health Organization of trying to find out what was going on. Mm-hmm. But he was also snooping around over there during the impeachment. So it's before and after. And the reason he did it is he is the one that now has exposed the Bidens once again in more lies, basically. When Biden had went up for campaign in 2019, basically, he had to come out and say that him and Hunter Biden had no business, anything going on with anybody in China. Well, they were caught before then. And so Hunter Biden was supposed to resign. And it's almost like what he got caught with here. Um, so when Kerr decided to check it's called, let's see, it's a Chinese equity firm, and it's called BHR. Well, he seen in 2019 his name was still on there on the board, so he was still making money. And then they questioned Biden again, and of course he denied it. Then come 2020, January 2020, they asked his lawyer, Hunter Biden's lawyer, is there anything going on? And this was who asked Hunter Biden's lawyer was the people here in Arkansas if he still was holding anything in the firm of BHR. And the lawyer said there was no evidence. Well, he got caught here. So of course Kerr was on it, and then Kerr ran over and started checking stuff. And when when we tried making phone calls, he was refusing calls on this, and I couldn't say much.
Who was refusing calls?
Huh?
Who refused calls?
The law firm that he's been using here for
Biden's law firm.
Hunter Biden.
Hunter Biden's law firm. Okay.
Right. Well, really, it's being used by him and his girlfriend's office, lawyer's office. It's kind of like it's there. So I can, you're able to call and you can ask questions. And the only thing I was asking is if we could get the evidence it was actually sold or he had walked away from it. Because if he walked away from it, there was $420,000 that her lawyer could have gotten or added. So that's kind of what was holding up the proceedings here for her paternity with the baby. So we've been waiting and waiting. Well, April 2nd, it was now definitely confirmed that he was still part of it. And her lawyers are confirming it and said they had also used with Kerr. Kerr ran this too at the same time. And he came out in the Federalist with this. And what her lawyers found out through National Enterprise Credit Information Public System. And this is in China. And it said he was still there. He was still making a lot of money. Then they checked Xiaombo. It's a company that provides transparency for Chinese businesses. And he was also on the list for that too. This is like a checking system where you can go through it to see if they're actually, who's on the board, who's working there, who the employees are. So that's what these are. And this is what her lawyer was doing. So when they actually got a hold of his lawyer again, he had to admit to this. And this was April 2nd. But they agreed to keep it classified because of Joe Biden. And
be classified if you know.
So we already knew about it, all the people down here in Arkansas. So they couldn't really keep it. And of course, Andrew Kerr said, Freedom of Information Act, you got it all there. It actually did come out in the documents. So Andrew Kerr is basically wrote the article on it in the Federalist. So, it pays for the little girls to get pregnant in Arkansas by these big guys because we're catching them. And we caught him red-handed. So now Biden, of course, the media is not going to grab the story. The media is not going to question Biden. The thing about it is I finally got most of the final info today. And that's when Kerr released it. And I've been under hush-hush, because they were waiting, her lawyers are kind of waiting for info to come out of Biden, I believe. I didn't hear it from them, but there's something they were trying to hear from Biden, I believe. That, you know, if he would have just been honest right up front, because see, this isn't the only one in China. There's a couple more, because this isn't even the one that Hunter Biden and let's see, it's Kerry's son, I believe, and a few others. They're in on another company in China, and we're still waiting here to see if we can get anything back on if they're still part of that company too. So, and then we heard there's this, that wasn't, it's not just these two. There could be four more that even Newsom is a part of, Kerry, Romney, um, what's his name? Whitey Bulger, son. And Whitey Bulger with Biden, Joe Biden himself.
What about Pelosi and Schiff?
I'm not really seeing anything with Pelosi except for being a mouthpiece. Now, we are getting stuff with Bloomberg, Gates, and I want to say Soros, but it's not Soros. I don't want to lump Soros in there, but the Clintons and stuff with Chinese scientists there. So, and I've been looking into this with them messing with these vaccines, because not only are they working with China on vaccines, but then Bill Gates has got his own, and then the Clintons have even got that lab that's being protected down in South Africa, and it's being protected by the local guard, the rebels, and part of ISIS. Now, the other thing I heard today is there was a whole bunch of people, and I wish I would have grabbed the store, that agreed to the chip, the Gates chip, to be tracked. Now, who in their right minds would do that? But they did.
People who are afraid and have been convinced that this is a good thing because they've been listening to the media instead of thinking for themselves. They don't know how to think for themselves. They just know how to be a puppet. So they'll be puppets.
Yeah. Yeah, and we had that gold boom. So I was happy when I heard the gold boom, because when that happened, and that was over a month ago, that meant that we had switched, and even then the top Wall Street guys were saying it went from oil to the gold, and that's when the war started with Saudi and Russia, and at least that's over with. Yeah, see, Sherry says Bloomberg owns John Hopkins. I mean, that's real good.
What do you mean that?
I'm echoing. I have you up too loud. There we go.
How is it good that Bloomberg owns Hopkins?
Mm-hmm.
How is that good?
No, it's not good. It shows they're all in on this. I mean, with their charities. And see, a lot of people don't even realize that through Jason Goodman and Charles Ortel, the charity that belongs to the Obamas hasn't even been registered. It's not even, I've even told you that, Miriam. It's not even registered. It's not real. And then the Clintons, of course, you look at all of the charities and the hospitals, and they even get money through USAID, through our government, to help people. And they haven't even filed their taxes since 2013. And they're getting away with it. And when they did get pressured to do it, that's when Obama went after the IRS. And it's crazy. And everybody, I got asked this yesterday. Well, if I was claiming that the gold standard is back and we're using the gold boom, where did all this gold come from? If Fort Knox had at one time been empty. Well, I don't know if you guys watch the gold panners. There is tons of gold coming out. There is a mine in Grass Valley, California, that in '96 when we left, they had reopened it. They had sucked the water out of it, and there was veins. They said that they would be pulling gold out of for 10 years. So that was in '96. So, and it was. They said it was a huge find. And at Grass Valley and Rough and Ready is just layered in gold. They were even starting to find veins back in Coloma again. Um, and then all the gold people turn in with the gold panners. And there is a massive amount of gold. So it looks like we do have our gold standard back. And it's not going to be easy for everybody because we have to build our dollar back up and build the stock market back up and keep people from staying on unemployment. Man, that was the biggest mistake we did. And Mary Ellen, the fear is all this stuff that is given out. We're going to have taxes on it. We really are. And that's why the Democrats are putting in so much, because if they can't get us through raising taxes on each individual state, they're going to do it federally and make us pay back what we were giving out. And I'm sorry, I do not want to pay a huge tax for PBS. I keep saying, when I see them run their little marathon, I'm going to ask for my free cup, because we done paid for it. Everybody paid for their cup or whatever video the PBS has to offer.
Yep.
So, oh yeah. These guys are so smart, Mary Ellen. They've been looking into it.
That's what I said yesterday. I got a call afterwards from somebody who said how much they appreciated what I had said yesterday, because we've got such an incredibly aware, awake, and educated audience.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they've learned this from Larry or they're learning it from other sources right now, people in the chat know what's going on, and I'm so very, very, very proud of them.
So, but that's it. I tried to make it so I wouldn't go to the full hour for you.
Awesome.
I get concerned because I know there's a good possibility that towards the end of, like the beginning to middle of next month, when you're due for re-up, that Larry will be back, and we'll need that hour for Larry Nichols. So that, so we'll keep it short in case he decides to come back, or maybe he'll just decide to call in and say, put me on, Mary Ellen. Put me on, Mary Ellen.
Okay, so his hospice nurse has not talked to him in a week, and he's not answering the phone with the number I had. So nobody knows where he is right now, except I'm sure his wife would, but nobody's gone and talked to her. And we've been told to leave her alone. So I am respecting the order, as I always do. So, we wait and we hang on. And, the last time I did talk to him, he apologized for having gotten so banged up, but it wasn't anything that I think he had any control over. It just, life happens, and sometimes life throws you a really bad curve. And so he knew it would be a very long recovery, and maybe it's longer than he was even hoping for. So, yep. So, anyhow, we're not supposed to pay taxes on the stimulus money, but I think
It's the other stuff that was written in. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And she's wanting another 2 trillion added to this next one, and that's what we're going to pay taxes on. And like I said, the post office maybe, but not on this bill. It needs to go on the budget, towards the end of the year.
All
Yep,
right.
Larry will be back.
Well, we're
Yep.
counting on it. So, folks, thanks for being here, and God bless you. We will talk tomorrow. And I'll just say, if you don't like any Bible study at the beginning, then join later. Thank you. Okay, bye.